Peter, do you want to come back up for the long-term and 2027 update?
Back again. Right, look, this is just a very early paper, and I'll just summarise some of the high points. Obviously, the draft LTP is around February of 27, but the build is next year, and next year is not that far away. I just want to highlight this by saying that nothing in this paper is about content that the new council may want. It's about process and being ready at a mechanical level to respond to the new council. And why would we want to be a place like that? We are facing a lot of complex reforms. You know about those. One of the difficulties or risks is we don't know exactly how they'll play out. We know they're there, but we don't know exactly what they are. So we need to be ready, and we need to have done our homework. There are internal complexities as well. So there are principles here based on one team. If we're divided, we will fail an LTP, and an LTP is viewed by central government as a fundamental test of competence. So given the scrutiny involved, we really need to be on top of this. There's a resolution in the report based on the agenda setting meeting. Again, while no one can preempt what the new council will do, it is prudent to be ready around a scenario that deals with a rates cap. We don't want to start thinking about that in November because it will be difficult to do. There are, well, frankly, the stages of grief to work through around anger, denial, etc., etc.
And we need to be at acceptance by about early December.
You can't jump straight to acceptance. is the point. So I am, but
so just for context, Peter, that's so when you said it's agenda setting, just so everyone's aware, it's point 4, which is just we've talked about the need to start the work so that it can get, you know, whatever council looks like, there's the work done so that it can make decisions.
So there are options for you to consider, or the new council to consider, around how we would respond to a rates cap. The government has signalled an announcement before the end of this calendar year, so we don't know what it is, but we do know that it's definitely something in the pipeline. The options will be complex. There's no way that BAU plus inflation will get us to that point. We'll be checking in because of the risks. It's within the terms of reference of ARMC. We'll be checking in with them at their next meeting and working on a report back to the new council in, I assume, early November. And there are three things that we need to do there. One is assure the new council that we're fit for purpose in terms of the new reforms, that we've dealt with any internal coordination risks, and we've got options that would address a rates cap, or at least come very close to it, given that we don't know what it actually is. So in short, we're onto it early. There's work to do. We'll keep you and ARMC posted, and the new council, I should say, posted on readiness. So that's what this paper is basically about.
That's really useful, Peter. I guess the risk is, obviously, we finish this is the last finance performance meeting for the term. We then effectively don't start these back till probably November. It makes sense while we're all out with our billboards, you guys being able to do that work so that we won't know what it looks like until after then. But it's really important that we have that so that the council can be inducted and up to speed. So I really appreciate this, and I really like the idea of the single delivery unit. So I mean, I think these LTPs have got better, but I think it's really important that when the council is the the governing body of the city provide feedback, that it's channeled through. I almost think of it like, and we've talked about this, I always think about it like government and treasury. So effectively, we're the government, you're the treasury, and we effectively say, this is what we need to come up with, go away and come at it. But there's no use us having 10 different departments coming at us. It all needs to be funneled through. So I'm really pleased that it's come through ELT as well, that everyone's on the same page, because we would be setting ourselves up to fail if we didn't do that. So I appreciate your work. So I've got Sarah, then Victoria, then Kelly, then Yanni, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, thanks so much for this. It's really good to be looking at this early. I was just thinking in the number 2, note in developing the long-term plan would be important too. And the other thing is that we've talked about just after the last one, was looking at the timeframes and how it overlaps with external processes such as the GPS on transport and funding mechanisms and those kind of things, and how that impacted our ability to make amendments, And so something around that, and whether we can have more conversations with Whakakotahi around the timing of that, the implications of it, but also what we do at our end, and the timing of when we might do things to avoid that happening again. But just so that it doesn't happen again.
It's a really good point because last time you remember the NZTA confirmation was at basically the worst possible timing for our central government is not overly concerned with our timelines, but I take your point there. The one overlap that is worth highlighting very briefly is that we'll be doing an annual plan at the same time as we start thinking around the LTP. So there's some initial thinking going into the induction and then a workshop for the new council on where they want to weight their focus, because it's possible that they may wish to do a relatively simple annual plan and focus on the LTP or not. But having that conversation early is worthwhile because of the overlap.
Yeah, thanks.
Victoria, then Kelly, then Yanni, and the Mayor's going to move it. I'm happy to see, or Mark's happy to second it.
Thank you for touching on that issue with the conflict with the AP and the long-term plan, because we run the risk of duplication. I understand that. Thank you for that. I know that, thanks, you recognise the risks around audit at paragraph 3.10. And I see at 3.12 you're using some quite strong language about you're developing a framework that's going to eliminate these recurring risks. Can we really eliminate it, or is this more realistically we're mitigating where we can, or are you confident we can eliminate it? Because that seems a strong statement to me.
Well, that's the stress on looking ahead and one thing, because those risks start to go away if we're all on the same page. They come about when lots of people want different things from the same LTP, and that is a natural human thing. Lots of people are advocates for what they do. They want to do well at what they do, but it means that the process is pulled in lots of directions. If we can look at that early and get on top of that, as Sam said, one source of truth, one process, then we have actually gone a long way towards getting around those issues that already highlighted.
Thank you for that. The next question I've got is around at paragraph 4.22. You talk about the need for strong governance and planning structures. But more importantly, as well as strategic and policy capability, have we got that resource capability presently, or do we need to be looking at that?
I think we do. I've got confidence in the strategy team who are looking at the reports and ELT. I think we do. It's not really a risk around understanding what those reforms mean so much as a coordinated response. So again, everybody on the same page rather than some here, some there.
Okay.
And then Yanni, and then
I just had one.
oh, you've got one.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, we did a piece of work, or staff did a piece of work not that long ago before we finalised the last annual plan around looking at identifying where future savings could be made. And you came to us with a really long list, and we recognised that there was some possibility within that. Where has that piece of work got to? And is that something that can be worked on whilst we're waiting for the reforms to land? There was a bit of a sense check around the room around it. We identified that there were savings to be made, but now was not the time to be looking at those for that annual plan. Where's that piece of work got to?
Because if we're to have a scenario around dealing with it, that work will need to be looked at, but also contemporised, because things have moved since then. Basically, our environment moves every 6 to 12 months. So what was a savings list a year ago probably needs a top up. Also, that list would have been put together without a view to a rates cap, whereas this scenario actually calls for a different view of the world.
As I recall, there were some things in there that gave us hope, and I know hope is not a commercial strategy to be relied upon, but it certainly gave us some at that time that there was some further work to do that would help us get towards a
I
rate
think
cap.
what Peter's saying is that'll come back to us.
Lovely.
Yeah,
Options.
Thank
okay.
you.
Kelly, and then Yanni.
And I'm good now.
You good?
Yep.
Yanni, and then we'll.
Thank you. Two questions. The first was having transparency around this is really important, and I just commend 5.11 where it says that the full suite of LTP documentation will be transparent to mayor, councillors and the community through the life that. So that's really good. The the use of the online tool has been problematic in many ways. I mean, some good information, but the physical document, the CPMS sheets, for example, which used to be an Adobe PDF, over 1,000 page, maybe 1,500, but you could search easily, you could find details, you could find cross-referencing to other programs that were mentioned. Is it, how does that get updated? And how could we, all the community, have access to that? Because that, to me, has been probably the most
I think rather than answer it now, can we pick that up, Mary, can we pick that up as part of the induction?
Yes, and we're happy to walk through how to use the tool with Councillor Johansson, because it's the most accessible and most live, the best information. So we're happy to get somebody to walk through that with you.
I've sat down with staff with that tool on a number of occasions. There's a whole bunch of issues with it.
So let's.
I'm just trying to think, is there a way that we can present the information, particularly the capital program, in a way that's easy?
Mary's going to come back. So move to your next question. I think your point's been well and truly made.
So the next question was, in terms of the conversation around our assets and business cases and investment opportunities that's currently being done by CCHL, when is that time to come back in terms of informing the LTP?
What? Oh, do you mean the port?
Well, we know the port, for example, are doing a strategic investment case or business case around some options for greater investment.
Not back to even CCHL. I mean, Brian, unless I've missed the briefings with Ben, and they've been really clear.
So I'm just trying to, because remember what happened last time? There was some work done, a decision made, then a sort of halfway through the process, there was a decision of council not to proceed, and it didn't really align. There was time pressure because of the annual plan and the LTP. So I'm just trying to understand in terms of this process, how does whatever CCHL do?
I don't think that's. You probably better answer than me, Peter.
Look, this report makes a promise that the next time we have this discussion with the new council, there'll be a project plan and an accountability policy. We don't have that level of thinking yet. This was to highlight the framework.
Yeah.
So exactly what, when, who is, there's a resolution in here to say, come back with that plan and the accountabilities. But that point you made about the full suite of documentation will remain transparent to councillors and the community. That's a solid commitment.
Okay, cool. So this has been moved and seconded. All in favour? That's carried. Thank you very much, Peter.
Thank you.